Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star, Mopars.com. Sunday night, just about 9 p.m. and that's about how this weekend went, if you can even call it that. But what we had to do frantically Friday night is take a look at the brand new Mac Max 90. This thing is really good, at least in terms of our bench impressions. And if you recall, in that video, I actually brought home a quarter drive Mac axis, just kind of for a comparative sake, right? And since I did that, there was another thing that I wanted to bring home, and it ties in with this. This, if you recall from one of our recent Mac tool hauls, is their pry driver set, right? Part pry bar, part screwdriver, 100% pry driver. This is presented to you in a very nice foam tray. Again, factor in your own value there. And you can see your big one, 5/16 by 6 inch shank. You got a 1/4 by 5, a 3/16 by 4. They're available in standard Mac colors, which will be red, orange, and green. These were in a very recent flyer. And the thing I like about these is, of course, the grip. Something about it is just preferential to me over the OEM. And if you're thinking OEM, what's this guy talking about? Well, you'll find out. Have these been used? No. I think I actually did use the 3/16 on some staples, but like nothing worth noting. 100% what I plan to do with these here at the house, aside from stuff that I mimic at work, would be spot welds. I'm going to see how they do on spot welds. And I'm sure in addition to that, just kind of rolling up, you know, the floor plans and whatever I'm cutting out. We'll see how they hold up there. Should be nice. And again, the big perk for me, they'll be warranted. I can just hand it passed off to my Mac guy, make him go about changing it out. So where this ties in, though, is kind of with one of those other things that happens when you make videos. Corrupted footage. This is not made by Mac. You're like, I thought it was made in America. Well, it is. It's made by Mayhew, and they've had their iteration out for quite some time still, and I can only assume they do this as a courtesy to the tool trucks. It's still only available in the standard default red Mayhew. That's fine for some of you don't care. Mayhew does pretty nice colors. Look at their Dominator line of pry bars, full-size ones. I kept thinking when I contacted Mayhew about it, I was like, hey, you're going to do those in colors? And they're like, oh, we might in the future, blah, blah, blah. You know, the typical corporate, we're not going to tell you an answer, but we'll be polite about it. And I had a video on that long ago. I'm talking like right when they first came out. Mayhew, if I had to give one critique, they'll like announce new products. And, you know, I'll be like, oh, yeah, this is going to be sweet. And then it's like an eternity before you can actually get it. And so like the Max 90 over here, right? They just showed this thing at the tool fair and then it was like, boom, it's here. To each their own, but you know, that like kind of sucks because I'm thinking like, oh man, this is going to be great. Multiple recent launches from Mayhew going back like 3 to 4 years. I'm like, hey, when are those coming out? And it takes so long sometimes. But back to that, I just checked prices on that set. They're like, Home Depot had it for $98, an eBay seller that was $80, slashed to $75. I truthfully don't recall what I paid. I want to say it was in the 60s, and I think it was in the 60s before I would have slapped a discount on it. That's just the way I roll, as you know, I'm thrifty, even if it is brand new. And I feel like I've had these probably over a year. And we're going to take a look at them now. What happened in that video, and I've alluded to this in the Mac one, I have like a text, a phone call, I go to grab something, whatever, there's 2 parts, you know, 3 parts, who knows, and all the footage is fine except for the beginning. And in the beginning, we had the introduction of that, the price, wherever it came from, and we also did, I think it was a Zorro tool haul, it should have been, I should say. I also bought the Mayhew little pry bars, right? And they were introduced first, and then we led that up to the pry drivers. And I've got the back half of the video, but the front half is just corrupted. Like, totally, it's not me. If I deleted the file, I would tell you. Okay? It wasn't like an accidental thing where I'm like, oh, geez, I just screwed a video. it just corrupted. I can sometimes recover files, sometimes like that one's gone. Okay, like it's not coming back. And of course, I didn't know by the time I got around to editing it. You know, I was like, hey, where's the start of the video? And you see a missing file, and you go about recovering, and you can't. And so here we are, like a year plus later. But I did this. I said I'd eventually do it. I brought it home from work with the Mac Axis, and it was kind of just a caddy for the Mac Axis. And so I think we'll do it this way, right? So I've got it, again, I told you, I'm real bad. I keep that lid for some reason. I do it on the icon stuff, I do it on stuff I use all the time, I do it on stuff I hardly ever use. It's just something I do. And here's a little Mac Axis. We'll get it set off to the side so we don't nasty up our foam tray. And I'm going to throw this guy down. We'll get the tray down here in a little bit, but I'm gonna start here. And you're thinking like, well, that looks really good, man. I agree. This thing is still like pristine, and there's a reason for that. It's basically not usable for what I'm doing. And, have I tried to use it? Yes, a little bit. You can't really tell. If you look at the cap, you can tell. But it's held up very well. But again, it's because it just hasn't been used. It's kind of a pain in the butt to use for what I'm wanting to use it for. But this is still good. Why? Because it's a good tool, but also because this lets you know what these used to look like, right? So we'll set that down. We might just get this thing, I don't really have anywhere to put it. 1 second. If you hear something fall, just know it's the Mac tray. So this guy is pristine, okay? I'm gonna go ahead now and just lower these in. You know, let's just, I'll tell you right now, there's something that bothers me with what you're gonna see. It's an empty slot, okay? And in that video, I complained about a lot, this empty slot included, and I was like, I don't know, I guess maybe it's for the tool trucks. They're going to add a size. Like, I'd love to have that size. It looks like it'd have to be small. That would be great for me. I recently, even though I can't buy from Matco, I don't know if the charge card issue's ever been worked out there, I still check it, and they have something that they came out, it makes no sense to me. But it's essentially a Matco handled Mayhew product. It's like a number 2 and number 3 Phillips with a center punch, and I think either a chisel or a drift. I don't understand that combination, but it used 4 slots, and the tray looks just like this. Okay, so this, as delivered from Mayhew, if we wouldn't have corrupted that footage, turn it the other way, there's just like a advertising tag flyer thing that covered this slot, and it's a 3-piece set. Very weird, very annoying. I've tried putting the 2 pry bars in here, and I just hang them on the lid of the roll cart. Keep in mind they're the pocket ones, it's nothing crazy. I could throw something else in there, but it doesn't really fit well. And so it's like I have all this dead space, and then it makes you think you're missing a tool. I hate it, absolutely hate it. That is a huge win for the Mac set because it has 3 slots for 3 tools. Not the end of the world by any means, but it's just kind of annoying more than anything. Now, from up here, these all kind of look bad, but if I get them in the right light, you can tell where this one is pristine, those are not. All right. The reason being, those see more use, particularly the smallest. Now, full disclosure, am I banging out slotted screws? Are they seized up on some archaic hinge, or am I rebuilding 1940s machines and it's what I have to use? No, 100% full disclosure, as I said in this, and I believe with the Mac video, what I'm doing with these is basically getting nails, staples, that's packing, right? When I say staples, I do not mean like a swing line, we're gonna, you know, staple the pay stub or something. I'm talking like industrial staples. Granted, they do use some regular cheap ones, you know, like for packing slips and whatnot, and I'll pry those out too. But I'm talking some that have really long legs, and others that aren't quite as long but are wide. They're thick. You know, you got to shoot them in with a pneumatic gun most of the time. And I'm pulling them out to salvage 2 things: a crate, a pallet, or the cardboard where applicable, right? I try to reuse everything. Now, sometimes the pallets are junk and I don't care, but a lot of times the pallets are great, or the crate is really good. I'm more likely to use a pallet than a crate, depends what we're shipping, right? But I like to harvest and reuse, and that way I don't have to go buy lumber and make more pallets. If I can reuse somebody else's, it's in good shape. And for the most part, that's what I do. The cardboard is very valuable to me for leaks, for knee pad, like if I'm down painting something, if we need to set painted things down. It's less money I have to spend or waste my own expensive frickin' boxes on, right? Again, if you've never dealt in shipping or like your own product or packaging or anything, like, it is insane. This is why, to this day, when I do a tool haul, if we have like a fancy box or packaging, like I always applaud it and say, oh man, they spent some money on that. It's because I know what the frickin' things cost. It is insane. And you think, oh, it can't be right, just cardboard box with a logo. You ever wonder why you almost never see like companies' colors on the boxes? It's usually the cost. It's insane. But getting back to this, that's what these are used for. I don't know what else. I think from time to time I've done different things with them. But primarily what these are used for is getting under staples. So that's why I break stuff like this. That's why I always am on the hunt for the smallest striking cap driver I can find. Sure, I could get a gigantic thing and, you know, go to town, but it makes my life difficult to get under. I basically then have to hammer and divot into the wood to do that. Sometimes the cardboard I'm dealing with is super, super thick stuff, right? It's not this little dinky throwaway crud, okay? This is people that care and value and know freight damage exists, and they have to do things to try and mitigate that, right? It's cheaper to spend on the good packaging than it is to deal with the freight lines and probably never getting your claim resolved in the manner in which it should be. So, while this guy, again, the best way to tell it's actually been used is here on the driving end, the striking cap, because this side is actually like almost completely mint. It's also stupidly clean. Okay, these are not. All right, again, this one I basically use it when I can, or if I want like a challenge, or if it's just working. Sometimes you get in a groove and this will slide under, other times it doesn't. What I don't like is just how blunt that is. Like, it doesn't really come to a finite tip. It's sort of just there. And that's why this one doesn't see as much use as the other. But again, I'm guessing if I had to, I would say I've probably had this set in use for over a year. Maybe when I come in and edit this, I'll try to remind myself to go and find. I still have the second half of the video. So I'll just right click that and see what date I recorded it, and that'll give me an idea, because again, I just took these like I do most Sunday nights when I'm out here. I'm doing that because I'm taking the stuff to work. Okay. So this is where I'm at with this one. Again, not terrible wear there. I mean, this one again has actually seen a lot of use, especially compared to that guy. But this one, this is the breadwinner of the set. This is the one that I use by far the most frequently. And again, if you're thinking like, well, that's idiotic, you should choose the big one. Think what I'm doing. I need easy access to get under things. If I can kind of pry up or get a position or just kind of dive into the cardboard or the wood and then hammer home here, that's the way I'm going to go. So that's what the handle's looking like. Again, I don't have time. These have been cleaned a few times. I don't have time at work to clean like I do at home. It's one of those things. I usually get interrupted. This striking cap, where the others are still kind of black, you can sort of see she's seen some action. And the big thing, though, is kind of like the Vera chisel drivers, which that's the only one I haven't broken a Viha, I haven't broken a... I guess, what else? Hazette. I haven't really used a Hazette striker. That's something we're going to have to do. But the thing is, I've broken smaller sizes of screwdrivers than the smallest size of the Vera chisel driver. So it's not really like a super fair comparison. Like this from Vera, I would absolutely love if this guy had a striking cap, and you're like, well, shit, it's yellow. It's got to be the chisel driver. Technically, that's what they call it, but that's just a plastic handle. Now, I guess I could technically just start pounding away on that and see if we fracture the handle or the tip breaks or whatever, but this is actually a great driver to have for lighter duty staples, right? This one is a 3.5, and again, I've broken some 3.5s, I've broken some 4s. Those are all metric sizes for you. But this one right here is smallest Mayhew, smallest Mac, 3/16, so I work with what I can. The big thing that goes wrong with the Veras is what you see happening with this one. Okay, if I can get her to focus. It's not terrible yet. Like, I mean, that's surprisingly good wear. I think the tri-lobe design has a lot to do with that. Like, one corner takes the brunt of it. But in certain instances, like, the staples just don't lift. And you're thinking, like, man, I'd use pliers to get the staples. Like, I do too. But I have to have something to grab onto in order to do that. Sometimes the staples are, like, sunken in. So I'm already having to divot things out. And then the farther I have to hammer this guy to get underneath one, and a lot of times you don't just have a clean staple professionally done. You've got, you know, Jimbo's supposed to put one staple down, and you've got 7 stacked. That's actually how I broke the door. There was a hidden staple I didn't know was there. Otherwise, that thing was pretty impressive. But right here, the handle starts to get worn out, right? Because you're running it in either to the edge of something. Pallets are all stapled depending on what it is. Sometimes there's, like, think of a cardboard angle iron, right? Sometimes you've got staple 1, staple 2, staple 3. Makes a lot of sense. Maybe there's like 2 split in the distance. And sometimes it's I've got, like, I have pictures. I mean, this is absolute insanity. There's one that I was, like, so miffed at that I just kind of turned it into a table. I left the crate nestled between the cardboard pieces. That's what this one was on top of. And I kid you not. I mean, we're talking like a 3-4 foot run of cardboard. There must be 200 staple. I've never seen such waste in my life. It is bad. Like, I don't know if the dude was just pissed off that day or the staple gun was wigging out a combination. It is ridiculous. And it's a great palette, but I was like, my lord, when am I ever going to have time? I still haven't had time to dress it, so I've just kind of left it there. The good news is sometimes when that happens, you can pull the cardboard. Like, if I'll just drive this side, not even worrying about staples, but get to where I can kind of lift the cardboard and then just rip that crud. It tears really bad, especially with staples like that. But then this thick frickin' chunk of cardboard is gone, and I'm able to either get pliers or a pry driver under and lift, and usually have a couple little pull through, some don't. It usually has a lot to do with the wood too. But yeah, that is kind of where these are starting to wear. And again, I basically cannot use that guy for what I do 95% of the time with these. Other things I kind of think I've done, like trying to free up C stuff, you know, hitting like in the keyway on something. Fans, these are good. What sucks, and this is where, like, having the Mac with this would be good. I'm a very big proponent, you know, like if you're trying to shimmy something off, I could technically do it with these two, right? You know, come in like that, but then it's weird because I'm not equilaterally placed, if that makes sense. Think of it as like if I had a 12-inch pry bar here and an 8-inch pry bar here, my hands are in different spots and it gets kind of like weird to gauge, so I prefer an 8 and an 8 or a 12 and a 12. Same thing here, that would be the bee's knees. Hopefully at some point Mayhew will make these in like the standard Dominator colors, orange, green, blue. Blue would be really nice. Because again, they do, in my opinion, have nice factory OEM colors. But when you've got Mac and Matco rolling these things out and they do colors, I kind of get it. It's like a courtesy to them. You know, if I was a dude that went to Mayhew and said, I want to do frickin', I don't know, some color no one does, mystic teal, I don't know, or they make them for Hazette, okay, and people are like, man, I really like that color, you know, that I saw on some dude's Mayhew thing. It's got to be Mayhew, it looked like a Dominator. And they're like, oh, well, you know, we could technically do that, but out of respect to Hazette, we don't want to. I kind of get it, but at the same time, you know, they've got their own Dominator line and could do some cool stuff. It is what it is. But, would be nice to have those options. But, yeah, this, again, I probably truthfully paid $65 or less before a discount, which would have dropped it down considerably, probably into like $49, $52 range. They're now going for way more than that, even though they're American made. The Macs, I think I pulled them up. They were $139. Now, if you're if you've got a truck coming through, you know, once a week or whatever, if you're sitting there and these are on the truck for 140, and your dealer might sell them to you a little less than that, or maybe catch them on a flyer and they're like, you know, 110, 120, somewhere in that range, and this set on Home Depot is 98 bucks, it's a no-brainer to me to spend the $12 to $20 to get it off the truck and deal with the warranty there. Mayhew, as I understand, has a good warranty, but again, me having to go through that, ship it, everything to Massachusetts is incredibly slow from Texas. I'm just anything northeast. Right? You get past Summit in Ohio, and it's like, oh no, I could have something from Japan or Germany sooner, basically. So you have to factor that in. Also, plastic tray, no tray, foam tray, that could sway you one way or the other. The foam trays, in my opinion, should all be like, I don't care if they're Snap-on, Mac, Mayhew, whoever. Like, to me, it's like $19.99 type of stuff. I understand, like, it might be more than that. Call it $30. You're probably going to get it sold to you for $39 or something. Might prefer that, might not. Some of you might hate both options and just be like, I just want these loose, or I'm going to have them in slots or screwdriver holder. Factor all of that in. But the bottom line, these have held up quite well. Granted, I haven't gotten to use the big one much, but the good news is I've used the smallest one, the most likely to bend, break, snap, fracture, you know, shatter, way more than the big one, and it hasn't done it yet. Biggest thing I would worry about personally is just kind of the handle wearing. Again, my most used Vera chisel driver is getting kind of sketchy. And it's just one of those things. It kind of depends what you're doing. But like I said, this Max set here, which I guess $29 would be an okay price for the foam. I am just a huge fan of the handle. Now, these aren't terrible. What I do run into, if you're wet, if your hand is wet from sweating, if it's just wet, you're outside in the rain or something, even with all the provisions they've made to kind of make that not happen, this is slick, okay? Like, I've experienced it. It's one of those deals. This is better for me. Some of you, this is going to be just fine. Some of you may actually totally prefer that and hate this. This is by no means one of like the grippiest Mac grips. This one's just kind of a little bit textured, if you will. It doesn't have like a rubber. It's nothing like the Max 90 handle down there. But again, these are brand new. It's again Mayhew internals, Mayhew handle. Again, Mayhew's who does the Mac Pry Bars, if you didn't know. And it's just kind of a personal preference thing. I think this handle would be easier to deal with given what you're doing versus the Dominator, especially with this screwdriver type design. That does help quite a bit in my opinion. But again, you're sort of different ends of the spectrum here. It's almost double the price if you got this for the current cheapest price I could find, which was 60s, like mid 60s I think, versus this at I think $139. Both made in America, both with warranty. You're just going to deal with it there. Now, if you're paying Home Depot's $98 and your driver is willing to sell the set for $120, you're getting this. And if we break this, I just throw it to my driver, or I, text him on like Friday, and I'm like, dude, this thing broke. I'm going to need a new one. Hopefully you have it, when you come by next Wednesday. We go to town. It's kind of just the convenience. And again, at double the price point, I can't rightfully tell you to go this way. Factor in the foam, factor in the handle, or colors if you prefer it. This is actually not a bad red. One of my critiques on this set, the reds were not uniform when it came in, and the parting lines, I felt like they could have done a better job. That's just a very, very pronounced parting line. Seems like I had quite a bit I was like not thrilled with on those, but the bottom line, I mean, they hold up, and that's what's important. So you got to make those calls. Is it worth it to wait around for a price drop and maybe stack a coupon, or is it worth snatching this full price from the dealer? Maybe you got a trade. Maybe it's on flyer promotion. Maybe you're Mr. Foam and you're like, yo, dude, I'd pay $50 just for the piece of foam and throw the Mayhews in it. All that's kind of up to you. But when you get to that point of like $25, I kind of just lean this way out of default. Now, recently I did a video of like an Irwin tap and die set. I could have got the Mac equivalent, but it's like way more expensive, even on a promo, right? So you kind of get to a threshold where, like, I can't justify it, you know, even if it is a preferential handle or color or something. In this case, I like the Irwin color better, so it worked well. But it's ultimately up to you. The bottom line, I see a lot of people still like on the fence with these, whether it's Mac or Mac. Yeah, I don't know, those things are kind of stupid. For what I'm doing, it's been great. Again, it keeps me from breaking the little ones. The only catch is I wish they had smaller than 3/16. Right? Why didn't Mayhew do that? Probably because they know it's going to break. Okay. Same thing with Vera. Why does that little 3.5 not have a striking cap? Probably because they know it's going to break. And again, it's that fine line between access, ease of use, and serviceability in the instance of will it work or will it break? And if it works, how long before it breaks? So 3/16 seems to be a good spot. Now this set here, if I ever get some frickin' free time to do my own stuff, they will be put through a much more rigorous life. Way more stringent on what they'll be doing, and that's one of the reasons I was willing to pay the Mac price on it. I could have gone in and gotten another set just like this, right? Even the red, you know, but prefer the orange, prefer this grip. And for what I plan to do, which 100%, just telling you right now, if you ever cut floor pans out of an old Mopar, right, you cut your center section out and you get your little access here and whack, you start going at the spot welds. Sometimes you can have the best brand new Blair cutter on there and it's just not wanting to go, so you just kind of have to come in and, you know, caveman the thing. That's what these are going to be for. So what I want to know from you, whether you went Mac long ago, whether you went Matco, whether you bought the Mayhews when I did, you know, and had them in service for a year, what do you think of them? How are they holding up? Where do you draw the line between, oh, you know, I hate red, I'm a green tool guy, I can get green from Matco and Mac, and Mac gives me the foam, Matco doesn't, but it's cheaper. Where do you have that threshold of cutoffs? Kind of like I tell people with 2-component handled pliers, right? If you love this and you hate the PVC, you know, traditional smooth dipped, what price point scares you off, right? A lot of times with German tools, like, it is negligible. It's kind of weird, like dirt cheap, you would think, and then $2 more gets you the good handle, especially if you prefer it. It's kind of a win-win deal. But if it was, you know, $30 more, are you just going to settle for the dipped handle that you don't like near as well, or is it worth it to you? Same thing if you factor in the warranty deal. Again, I've never had to deal with Mayhew direct, at least not that I can remember, but Mac, I deal with him. And, I get my stuff usually within 2 weeks. Kind of depends. The more you like personalize it and get away from the default, your dealer and driver will vary. And one of them might be a Harley guy and prefers to stock orange, but the more specialized you get, right, the less likely he is to just have it on the truck and break a set for you, get you going, and then repopulate the set. So factor all of that in. It's up to you, but as you can see, we went both directions. I've got no regrets there, and I'm excited to use these, see how they do in kind of a more taxing application, and I'll report back to you. But yeah, since this video got screwed by corrupted files that I can't seem to recover, and it's been a long time, I thought, hey, let's bring them back, do an update, compare it to this, throw in that discussion point, and see what you have to say about it. But with that said, LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you ring the bell, you jump your Charger across the creek, you crash down, the glove box opens up and spills out your Mac Pry drivers made by Mayhew. YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop. Alright, bought us a little bit more time. I want to get back to this first one because it doesn't have that. It does have the part line, but it's not like standing, and that makes it look fluid. You have to get it just perfect in the camera, and you can start to see what looks like the straight, just like a box cutter type of line. That's the part line in the mold. That's a shame that it's there. Would have been nice to have that offset a bit. The other thing that's interesting, I did not know there was a 4-piece set. There may not be, but if I populate this back, you'll see something that I hope makes sense to you. There's a chasm. This thing here, this piece that covered that, okay, right here like so. And you think, oh, what a nice tray. It was hiding a dirty secret. Somewhere, someone is getting a 4-piece tray. Is this a deal where tool trucks come in and they get a 4-piece set? I don't know. It's looking like somebody does. I don't know of Mayhew having one. That said, I haven't looked at this in forever. I had the part number for this 3-piece set, and I constantly would, every time I order anything, I would go around, I would Google it, I would find suppliers. They're supposed to have it and supposed to stock Mayhew, and usually do, and I came up empty for so terribly long.